let's be honest. I mean, a 6.5% interest rate is not a bad interest rate. We've just gotten spoiled for the past. So.
Well, hello and welcome. I'm Robert Schein, the co-host with Madison Evans. Hi, Madison.
Hi, Rob.
We are in season 3 right now, episode 4, Investing in Knowledge. So, Madison, this is relating to my 7 keys of financial wellness. And one of the keys, as you know, is open to growth. Mm-hmm. So the investing in your knowledge component today, bringing in subject matter experts and really drilling down on some questions that our audience really wants to know, especially when it's a timely information like source right now and a topic that we want to basically help bridge that gap. But taking the time and investing in knowledge is the key to life.
I agree. I think this episode is going to be great for our listeners. Yes, and we have my personal favorite guest, and I hope your personal favorite guest too.
For sure.
It's Jennica Schein.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a good episode. Jennica is the top of her game right now in the real estate world, residential real estate world. So we're going to pick her brain in terms of buyers and sellers and real estate market and interest rates and all that fun stuff.
Yes, it's been an interesting year for real estate, so I'm excited to hear her insights.
Sounds great. Hello, Jennica. Welcome to the Few Podcast.
Hey, long time no see.
You've been in this chair before.
Yeah.
And it's great to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
You know, for our audience, if you don't know, Jennica not only is my better half and partner in crime in life, but also a real estate agent specializing in Southern California residential real estate. So today's episode, we're going to focus on a lot of things, what the Federal Reserve has done most recently in the interest rate cut, as well as the impact on the residential real estate market, what you see, the trends, to jump right into sort of the things that you're seeing right now in the real estate side. I mean, the whole idea here, we're looking at real estate at all-time highs for the most part. A lot of volatility coming out of 2022, 2021. You know, rates spiked. So did prices on residential real estate. And so now that rebalance that's happening really is got to take effect. So to supply and demand, sort of more buyers have to have expectations and sellers have to have expectations sort of come into balance. What are you seeing right now in the residential real estate market, the back half of 2025, or what have you seen so far?
Well, in the desert in particular, we have kind of a specialized season, as you know. And as we came out of our season, which was late spring, we really saw a huge stagnation in real estate sales. And it was pretty across the board just in Southern California in general. And it was a complete standstill. Personally, what I felt with my clients is that we had some properties listed on the market in the height of the season, and the expectations were very, very high from sellers on price points that they expected to get. They were expecting interest rate drops. You know, everybody's been holding their breath for so long that they're running out of breath to hold, and it just never kind of happened. We found that by the time the summer rolled around, reality kind of hit a lot of sellers that if you really
because homes were staying on the market longer and they couldn't get the most recent highest price of their neighbor that just sold 3-6 months ago, and they still think that that's the best price because when you're selling, you want the best price.
So back even in the peak of the market, if you hired the right realtor who knew how to market your property correctly and you priced it correctly according to the market at that time, your home should have sold within 30 or 60 days. And what buyers were seeing is that wasn't necessarily always the case. Home prices were staying high. Sellers needed to capitalize on price, and they were staying on the market endlessly.
A lot longer.
And that brings a lot of buyers wondering what's wrong with the property. So with that being the case, reality kind of smacked a lot of sellers in the face this summer. And either they took their homes off the market, decided to wait and see what happens, which is, advisable. But, unfortunately, not everybody has that luxury. So once people kind of came into contact with the reality of where the market really was, homes sold very swiftly and for cash. So, the buyers are out there. Sellers just need to be realistic and need to be able to listen to their realtors, the ones that are in the trenches every single day, and know the valuation of their homes. Because everybody knows what they'd like to sell their home for. The reality is what can you sell your home for?
That's very interesting. And if you look at the residential real estate market, I heard a stat that basically a third of the homes in the United States are paid off or close to. The other third have a 3% mortgage or less. And then that just leaves the remaining 1/3 of where that market is. So it's even shorter and less inventory that's out there that should keep prices up theoretically because there's, a lot more demand. But I think even buyers basically went on a strike waiting for, like you said, holding the breath for interest rate drops and a few other shoes to, follow suit.
Well, look at it this way. If you have below a 3% or around a 3% interest rate, you're also going to be a buyer, even though you're a seller, let's say. So in order for you to sell your home, you're going to have to then purchase a
Trade
new
up.
one at a much higher interest rate. So you're actually going to be paying more. It's more of a lateral move. You're going to end up paying more for the same home. You're not really upgrading. That was a huge concern for people. And it's understandable because, you can look at the real estate market as buyer versus seller, but in actuality, all buyers are sellers and all sellers usually are
You got to
buyers.
go somewhere.
I mean,
Yeah.
at some
So
point.
that's still going to have a huge impact on the market, even moving forward. So we have one Federal Reserve interest rate cut last week. In October, we expect another one, and December we should see one more. So maybe, we're at 3. We could be at 3.5, 3.75.
Well, that'll really incite a lot of people.
On the 10-year, and then that also hopefully would have a knock-on effect on the mortgage rate environment. Where are rates right now for mortgages?
They've dropped about a point. So
Okay.
they're at 6.4.
Yeah,
6.4.
yeah, 6.4 right there. We've seen 6.25, but that was for a blip. I think the overall trend of interest rates and the trajectory is very healthy moving forward to unlock a portion of the economy that has been frozen for so long. And if you look at the administration right now, what they're aiming to do is unlock real estate because that real estate contribution to the GDP, gross domestic product, is huge. So they want the economy to grow again. They want to see business come back again. And that's a huge component that needs to be unlocked within the economy. And that's where, Federal Reserve and the interest rates are square in the middle of that.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, a 6.5% real, interest rate is not a bad interest rate. We've just gotten spoiled over the past. So it's basically when you talk about buying and selling real estate, I think for, an individual investor, it's important for them to kind of grow with the times. As things ebb and flow, they need to kind of learn the reality of, yes, this looks terrible if you compare it to a 3%, but not necessarily.
Yeah, historically,
6%.
6% is
Right.
in the history of interest rates for mortgages, this 6% has been the historical average.
And we just have to kind of depend on, people buying and selling real estate. People are always going to need to move, regardless of whether or not it's the perfect time to sell or buy a home. It's never going to be, because either you're going to sell it at the top as a seller and you can't buy at the bottom as a buyer at the exact same time. So you have to do what's right.
I also think, we've done a lot of real estate personally. And, I always say this to clients as well. You always make your money when you buy. That it's your entry point. So right now, we just talked about how sellers are exhausted. Their homes are now waiting or on the market for a lot longer.
They're ready to deal.
And they're ready to deal. And so what you've been able to help your clients with, and I've seen this firsthand, is find pressure in the market. Find those that are exhausted or need to sell or just have to move and relocate out of California to another state. They're willing to take a significant discount relative to, and I think their expectations are now level set. So I think it's the, timing is everything when you're investing in real estate, and realistically, this could be a good time. What do you think?
Absolutely. I always, caution buyers coming in to not necessarily write an insulting offer. You don't want to come in too low. But I've been actually impressed with some of the offers that we've been able to get accepted because of that. Because, when you look at carrying costs and you look at what the financial spreadsheet really looks like for someone trying to sell their home and what they need to do, it might be worth dropping, $50,000 to $100,000 off your asking price just to leave that situation and move on.
But also, wouldn't that, let's say you're representing a buyer and you're coming in with, a lower offer, if you will, than what's asking. But what about the seller? What if the seller, if you're representing the seller on that side and say, hey, listen, market's here, but if we price it here, we potentially could incite a bidding war. Right. You've seen that too, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We kind of try to do that a lot because, everybody thinks their home is worth more than their neighbors and more than anybody's ever sold in the neighborhood. But realistically, I try not to take any listings that are completely off the mark when you look at the comparisons.
Unrealistic expectations.
Unrealistic expectations. That's just a disaster waiting to happen. But if you have somebody within the ballpark, I kind of go into it with, we know within one week to 10 days whether or not we're priced right. And that happens to be with interest, because there's nothing more exciting than a new home on the market. And if you're not seeing people interested and you're not having showings, you are priced wrong.
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
Okay. So the market will tell you
absolutely
right away. And you did that recently. Earlier this year, I saw you walked away from an $8 million listing.
Yeah.
Because you told him it was worth 6.5. Yeah. And he said, no, I want the 8. He listed it at 8. And what did he sell it for?
About 6.5.
6.5. So, and we're talking to the number one realtor in Coldwell Banker. Last month, you led your office, and you've been on the leaderboard in the top 10 just about every month, if not every other month, year to date. So we are talking with a proven winner here, and somebody who knows what she's talking about, which is great.
Thank you everyone for watching. This episode is sponsored by Jennica Schein Wealth Management. We've been in the Coachella Valley for 40 years and we're built for the next 40 years. You can find us at blankiescheinwealthmanagement.com. And now back to the episode.
So we've already established the importance of finding the right real estate agent for you.
Right.
And one, they can help save you money. And two, they can also help get you a little bit more than what maybe your neighbor, depending upon if it's priced right.
Right.
So we've established the importance of a real estate agent, the proper real estate agent. Number two, we talked about interest rates a little bit and mortgages. What are you seeing in terms of financing or the best ways to get, into that home today?
What we're seeing is what we commonly see in volatile markets, which is when it comes to lending practices, they'll always come up with different and creative ways to solve a problem. So they'll come up with different opportunities. So it's not always just the standard loan that you've grown accustomed to, that you learn about. So what they do is they'll come up with different packages and they'll try to figure out a way to make it work best for you. We're finding different things. A lot of people coming in with reverse mortgages. We're seeing a lot of 1031 exchanges. And out here, we see a lot of cash. So cash is always easiest.
But we also do the portfolio loans too. So
right.
They have their investments working for them. They don't have to take the money out of the market. They don't have to hit the capital gains and tax button. Yeah. And then they can use it as a bridge loan, use the cash, take down that property. As well as anybody, if you negotiate with cash is king, you're going to get a better price. Right. And you can expedite that escrow in that transaction. So that's the portfolio loan. We've done a lot of those recently.
A lot of people are completely unaware that even exists. And it's really beneficial.
I think that's the whole key here is invest in knowledge, right?
Correct.
So what you just said was the mortgage industry has now evolved to the market that has been basically frozen. Right. But now they've created a lot more financing options. They've created a lot more innovative ways to make this market work, even in a market. I mean, look at what the mortgage market had to do in, the great financial crisis. They figured it out, and they had to do that, with interest rates and fluctuations, ups and downs, and that's always going to be the case.
Well, and every one of my clients, every one of their situations is always unique, and they'll come to me and kind of explain their situation to me. And I work with a few different lenders out here, and my first response is always, you need to talk to them because I know there's a way that we can figure this out. So don't get tied up with what you think you know. I think it's really important to just always ask the questions and always find out what your options are, because you may never know and then you'll miss an opportunity.
It's investing in that knowledge. It's being proactive in that, knowing what you could afford, knowing how you can finance it, right? And getting that knowledge as it relates to that, and just arming yourself with that information. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It gets uncomfortable, and I understand how people don't want to, but it's so important because there are so many opportunities out here right now. With the market being frozen, you've got sellers that are ready to sell. Yeah. They're ready to reduce their prices, and they want to move on. And you could be missing out on a really great opportunity. A huge issue that we've kind of run into is there are beautiful homes out in the Coachella Valley in beautiful country clubs, but as time's gone on, now they've increased so dramatically in price point, yet they still have more of an older style to the home that hasn't been updated yet. And so everybody's infatuated with this, what we call the whiteout, with the white marble, white cabinets, and everything have that really clean, more modernized look. And the 1980s to 1990s more Tuscan style has been outdated a lot. So what you're finding is that when people are kind of coming in and they're looking to purchase a home that originally might have been worth $1 million and now it's worth $3 to $4 million, and then thinking about the responsibility that you have in order to even make that $3 million home something that's more modernized, and the money that you have to infuse into that. So those costs come into mind. A lot of times when buyers come in, I see it ticking off their heads. How much is it going to cost?
Inventory list of
I need to fix this. I want to change this. I want to do this. Yeah. And they start ticking that off the price point. And a lot of times sellers don't see that because they were more than happy to live in a Tuscan style home. You know, you have to get into the mindset of a buyer. So as much as sellers love their home and think their home has value, it's really important that they get into the mindset of a buyer.
Yeah.
You have to understand that there's nothing offensive about staging your home differently than the way you live in it. You need to stage the home to entice a buyer to see themselves.
What does staging a home mean? What does that entail?
So a lot of times we'll go in and you'll see the way people live in their home is not necessarily the ideal way you'd like to present your home for someone to purchase it. You've got your comfortable Barcalounger in the living room and your dog bed next to. Those are not enticing things. Those are when a buyer comes in, they're going to see the home as how you live in it. And what you want them to do is, as a seller, you need to get into the mindset of a buyer, and you want the buyer to see themselves living in that home. And the way you do that is you make it look more like a model home. So a lot of times what we've done is, even though I've had a beautiful home listed, had that real Tuscan feel, we took out all of her really heavy, dark furniture and leather and all that, and we took it out and we brought in a lot more of a Spanish, lighter, brighter feel, gave it a whole new life.
Even smaller furniture, right?
Smaller,
and
yeah.
It made it look, roomier.
Makes the home looks so much bigger.
It presents so much better.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a good way to utilize space. It's a good way to just basically take yourself as the seller out of the situation and present something on the market that other people can see themselves in.
Now that's an investment. You have to make an investment, but if you can get a little bit more,
you always will,
and sell your home a little bit quicker, time is money.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. And statistics show that staged homes do sell faster and for a higher
price.
They're
even doing that with AI right now, and they're,
we can do that with the photos.
With
online.
photos online.
Yep.
Especially if a home is even vacant.
Yep.
You can just, make it look modern, look what the furniture looks like. And
I do that a lot.
It's really cool. And also your company has a program where, let's say you have to regentify the house, you have to do some home improvements, some remodeling, maybe minor, maybe a little bit major, depending upon what the undertaking is, or maybe even if it's just carpet and paint.
Right.
Tell me about that program.
So they even do it with the staging companies as well to stage the home. So it's a really exciting program. They have different contractors that opt into the opportunity. And what we do is, if we come in and we have a property and we say, oh my gosh, we need to paint this house. It can't be aqua all the way through the inside. We need to go beige. We'll have contractors that we can contact. And basically, they'll come in, they'll bid the job, they'll do the job, and you as a seller do not have to pay that contractor until you sell your home, and you pay it out of the proceeds of the sale.
So basically, you're getting the work done, you're getting the house refreshed.
Right.
You're going to get yourself in a better position than the competition on the market.
Hopefully sell it for more, yeah.
You may sell it for more, you may have a quicker, escrow, if you will, quicker close, but then out of the proceeds, once that home is sold, then the contractors and subcontractors get paid.
It's not out of pocket.
Why wouldn't you do that?
it
That's
makes sense.
That's other people's money. I mean, you're
It's true.
using the float right there.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
a smart strategy.
You don't have to come up with it up front, and and it proves to make such a difference when selling, for sure.
That's great. Jennica, thank you for being here today. We
Thanks for
appreciate it.
having me.
It's a wealth of knowledge. We're going to have you back again in the future for sure. And thanks to our audience today for tuning in to, invest in your knowledge. That's the whole key here right now. That's why we're bringing in subject matter experts, top of their game, knowing exactly how to help our audience maybe learn something they didn't already know. And we want you to just invest in that knowledge. We thank you for taking the time today. Invest in you.
Well, that was a great episode. Jennica always has wonderful advice, and I think it's very timely for people wanting to get in or out of real estate right now. And I think this will also be a great episode for people to listen to months and years down the road, because her advice is
Evergreen.
timely. Yes,
timeless.
exactly.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we did cover a lot of ground today, which was excellent. So hopefully our audience feels the same way.
Yes. And to close the episode, like we always do, I have a couple quotes. The first is by Albert Einstein. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And our second quote is by Benjamin Franklin. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest.
Take that to the bank.
Thank you all again for listening to this episode. We have another exciting guest for our upcoming episode that you're not going to want to miss. And as always, like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it.
This podcast is brought to you by David Field Producer. It is produced and directed by David Field and Kristen George. And it's mix, edit, and socials by Kristen George. Jennica Schein Wealth Management is a group of investment professionals registered with Hightower Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC, and with Hightower Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Securities are offered through Hightower Securities, LLC. Advisory services are offered through Hightower Advisors, LLC. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities. No investment process is free of risk, and there is no guarantee that the investment process or the investment opportunities referenced herein will be profitable. Past performance is not indicative of current or future performance and is not a guarantee. The investment opportunities referenced herein may not be suitable for all investors. All data and information referenced herein are from sources believed to be reliable. Any opinions, news, research, analysis, prices, or other information contained in this research is provided as general market commentary. It does not constitute investment advice. Jennica Schein Wealth Management and Hightower shall not in any way be liable for claims and make no expressed or implied representations or warranties as to the accuracy or completeness of the data and other information, or for statements or errors contained in or omissions from the obtained data and information referenced herein. The data and information are provided as of the date referenced. Such data and information are subject to change without notice. This document was created for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are solely those of Jennica Schein Wealth Management and do not represent those of Hightower Advisors, LLC, or any of its affiliates.